Sorry? Lala, okay. Complicated name. So welcome. So our Sunday program is as follows. We will now have a talk on Krishna consciousness subject matter. At 5 o'clock there will be a vegetarian feast. 6:15 there will be a guided mantra meditation. At 7 o'clock a temple ceremony. And from 8 o'clock onwards we will have more kirtan, more mantra meditation. For our talk, we are very happy here to invite His Grace, Krishna Premarupa Prabhu. Please welcome him with a big Hari Bol. I think most of you know him very well. Prabhu, he joined or came to contact with Krishna consciousness around 25 years ago. And he also, from that, after some travels in India, he joined here, started to live here as a monk. And already very soon he took a very big responsibility as a temple president of this temple. And for 14 years, Prabhu was managing this temple and also building up this temple and bringing it to a stable point. And from some years ago, I think 3-4 years ago, then Prabhu, he took up other responsibilities and other tasks in our Krishna conscious movement, and also has dedicated also a lot of his efforts and time also in teaching Krishna conscious knowledge with everyone around in Europe and in this world, giving seminars and workshops, etc. So we are very happy that he's going to give his talk here on the subject of the Paramatma, the Super Soul, an unknown friend in our heart. So that's the topic. Before we start, I just request everyone to move closer. Please come very close, that you hear very well. And also a question for the translation. Braucht jemand eine deutsche Übersetzung? Yes, we can open. Braucht jemand eine deutsche Übersetzung? Okay. Then have a good Sunday. Hare Krishna.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari 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 Gopichana Vallabha Girivardhari Gopichana Vallabha Girivardhari Pichana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brachachana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rachachana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rachachana Ranjana Yashodanandana Rachachana Ranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Yamuna Tiravanachari Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. 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 So I'll read from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, text 13, text 23. Upadrashtanumantacha Bharta Bhokta Maheshwaraha Paramatmeti Chapiyokto Dehismin Purusha Paraha. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Yet in this body there is another, a transcendental enjoyer who is the Lord, the Supreme Proprietor, who exists as the overseer and permitter, and who is known as the Super Soul. This is from the 13th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, and this 13th chapter deals with understanding the soul, the super soul, and the body. The body is compared to a field, and the soul is compared to the knower of the field, the one who lives in that field. And then there is the super soul, the Lord, who is also residing in the body. And this is what Krishna says here. There is another person there, which is the Lord, is the super soul. So I read Prabhupada's translation. It is stated here that the super soul, who is always with the individual soul, is the representation of the Supreme Lord. He is not an ordinary living entity. Because the monist philosophers take the knower of the body to be one, they think that there is no difference between the super soul and the individual soul. To clarify this, the Lord says that he is represented as the Paramatma in every body. He is different from the individual soul. He is para, transcendental. The individual soul enjoys the activities of a particular field, But the supersoul is present not as the finite enjoyer, nor as one taking part in the bodily activities, but as the witness, overseer, permitter, and supreme enjoyer. His name is Param Atma, not Atma, and he is transcendental. It is distinctly clear that the Atma and the Paramatma are different. The supersoul, the Paramatma, has legs and hands everywhere, but the individual soul does not. And because the Paramatma is the Supreme Lord, he is present within the sanction of the individual soul's desiring material enjoyment. Without the sanction of the Supreme Soul, the individual soul cannot do anything. The individual soul is bhukta, or sustained, and the Lord is bhokta, or the maintainer. There are innumerable living entities, and he is staying in them as a friend. In fact, is that every individual living entity is eternal part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and both of them are very intimate related as friends. But the living entity has a tendency to reject the sanction of the Supreme Lord and act independently in an attempt to dominate nature, and because he has this tendency, he is called marginal energy of the Supreme Lord. The living entity can be situated either in a material energy or in spiritual energy. As long as he is conditioned by the material energy, the Supreme Lord, as his friend, the Supersoul, stays with him just to get him to return to the spiritual energy. The Lord is always eager to take him back to the spiritual energy, but due to his minute independence, the individual entity is conditionally rejecting the association of the spiritual light. This misuse of independence is the cause of his material strife in the conditioned nature. The Lord, therefore, is always giving instruction from within and from without. From without, he gives instruction as stated in Bhagavad Gita, and from within, he tries to convince the living entity that his activities in the material field are not conducive to real happiness. Just give it up and turn your fate toward me, then you will be happy, he says. Thus, the intelligent person who places his faith in the Paramatma, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead, begins to advance towards his blissful eternal life of knowledge. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Om Agyanati Mirandasya Giranjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Namo Bhistam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Tadati Svapadantikam Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna Hare Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare. So, this purport Prabhupada beautifully puts the entire philosophy of Krishna consciousness in one page. Everything is there. Prabhupada describes the difference between the soul and the supersoul, describes how the soul has an independence, can either be with the Lord or without the Lord, and that actually Krishna is very kind, because in his form as Paramatma, he's always with the living entity and tries to help the living entity from inside and from outside. So this will be a little bit the topic of today's talk. We'll try to look at what is the identity of the Paramatma, what is the function of the Paramatma, and then we also like to see. Like practical application. So having this understanding, what does it help in our life, and how can we connect more with Krishna? And personally, I find it quite fascinating, the fact to know that actually God resides in my heart, isn't it? We know that God is, I mean, if God exists, he's somewhere up there in the sky or in some spiritual world. But here it's clearly stated that God actually is also present, and not only as just an impersonal energy, because yes, God is also all-pervading. That means God actually enters every single atom, and there's also an energy which is part of the divine, which is a divine energy. But not only that, but God is also there personally as a person in the heart of every living entity, and that's, I found very fascinating. Like that. Maybe we can open to get fresh air, but then close it again. I'm just recovering from a cold that I had, so we can open it again if you feel you need more energy, more air. Okay, so first of all, let's look at the identity. Who actually is that Paramatma? In the Bhagavatam it says, Vadanti tattva tattvam ya jnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavan iti shapyate. That the learned transcendentalists who know the absolute truth, they call this non-dual substance. They say the absolute truth, the divine, is a non-dual substance, and that substance is called Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. That means that in the Vedic understanding, there is 3 steps of God realization. You can understand God as an all-pervading energy. You can understand God as the located super soul, like a God who enters into the heart of every entity, and then God who is also Bhagavan, his own personality, how he resides in his eternal spiritual world. So that's first of all an important understanding. And it says non-dual substance. It means there is no difference between the Brahman, there is no difference between the Paramatma and the Bhagavan. They are all, they're non-dual, they are equal, they're one, but still they manifest in different forms. And of course it's understood that Bhagavan is the most complete aspect. He is the origin of everything. He is the origin of the impersonal form, and also in his localized aspect he enters into the material world in every living entity. And the Bhagavad Purana, or the Srimad Bhagavatam, also gives description on how the Lord actually enters, or how the Lord is present in the heart of every entity. And it gives quite detailed description. Kichit svadehantra hridaya vakshe pradhesha matram purusham vashantam chaturbhucham kancharatanga shakha gadat harmadaranaya smaranti. So it's described here that some yogis, they perceive the Supreme Lord residing within the body in the region of the heart. It says hridaya vakshe. So it's said that Paramatma is residing in our heart, in the region of the heart, and measuring only 8 inches, with 4 hands carrying a lotus, a wheel of a chariot, a conch and a club, respectively. So, and then in the purport, Prabhupada explains, the all-pervading personality of God that resides as Paramatma in the heart of each and every living entity. The measurement of localized personality of God is estimated to expand from the ring finger to the end of the thumb. That's the size of the Paramatma in the heart. The form of the Lord described in this verse with distribution of different symbols, beginning from lower right hand up down to the lower left hand, with lotus, wheel of a chariot, conch, club, respectively, is called Janardhan, the plenary portion of the Lord who controls the general mass. So the scriptures give description how the Lord in his 4-handed form as Vishnu or Paramatma enters the heart of every living entity. So, and yogis meditate on this form. They try to perceive the Lord in their own hearts. And of course, in the text that we just read before, it's described that the difference between the soul and the super soul. And because we know what's happening in our body, right? For example, I know that I just recovered from a cold. Of course, I told you, but still have a little bit coughing. But otherwise, I'm fine, you know. But I'm aware of what's going on in my body, but I'm not aware of what's going on in your body. Okay, maybe I can see you look a little tired, or but in general, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe you're completely blissful and you just want to hear more. And some of you maybe think, okay, when is the class over? I'm hungry. I'm looking forward for the feast. So, but I don't know that, no, because I'm only aware of my own body, and you are only aware of your body. But that's different, because Paramatma is that personality who is aware of everyone's body, everyone's consciousness. That means Paramatma is in your heart, in your heart, in your heart, in my heart, everywhere. And Paramatma is aware, knows what's exactly going on inside of you. And he knows you, he knows your thoughts, your emotions, every desire you have in your heart, whatever you did in your past, Paramatma is there, he knows everything. I only know about my life, and even that I don't remember so much, because we forget. But Paramatma is there, knows everything. And Paramatma knows everything of everyone. And that's the difference between the individual soul and the super soul. And Prabhupada gives a nice example in the purport to this text 1323, that just like a farmer, someone possesses some land, so he knows his own land. But the king, he knows the land of everyone, because he's the proprietor of everything, the whole kingdom. So he knows much more. So similarly, we know our own body, which is compared to a field, but Krishna, or the Paramatma, knows about everyone's body, everyone's field. So that's the identity, and of course we could say more, but let's go to the function. What is the function of the super soul? Why does the Lord actually expand? Why does he reside in our heart? And there is two important words, Upadrashta and Anumanta, which are mentioned. And Upadrashta means that he is the observer, and Anumanta means he's the permission giver. He gives permission. So first of all, he's the observer. Big brother watching you. There is this reality TV show where you put people in a room, and then cameras, they observe them all the time. People watch, and so that's sometimes it sounds a little scary, but actually there is God is there in our heart, and he's always watching us. He's always there, always seeing us. And that is one of the functions of the Lord, that he's always with us. There's a story which I have told many times about the guru who wanted to test his disciples. You remember that one? He brought some fruits and he told the disciples, of course I should have told the story first, but he says, okay, everyone gets a fruit and you should eat the fruit. That's your task, but make sure nobody sees you. And then everyone goes, and they hide somewhere behind a bush, behind a tree. Someone goes in a cave, they eat the fruit, come back. Only one disciple comes with a banana in the hand, and everyone is laughing at him. Such an easy task, you didn't make it. Can't even eat the fruit without anyone seeing you. And the Guru says, well, let's wait, let's hear his explanation. And he said, well, Gurudev, I tried, and I was hiding behind a tree, I was go to a cave, but wherever I was, I always remembered, no, Krishna is watching me. No, the Supreme Soul is there in my heart and sees me. So how can I eat anything? How can I do anything without being seen by the Lord? And then the Guru said, you have understood. You are my true disciples. So then the other disciples, they became quiet. they realized, okay. So, and that's also confirmed in scripture. Surya, Agni, Kam, Marat, Deva, Soma, Sandhyani says that the sun, the fire, the sky, the air, the demigods, the moon, the evening, the day, the night, all the different directions, the water, the land, and the Lord himself, who resides in the heart of every living entity, these are all the witness. There's many witnesses. God is in the heart, but also the sky and the moon and the sun, and they're all witness. They all see what we are doing. Again, it sounds a little scary, no? I mean, it sounds scary if you have to hide something. If you're a honest person, pious person, it's no problem. But it's an interesting concept. I mean, it's not just a concept. That's reality. That's how life is. But sometimes we do things. If nobody sees us, then we do things oh, nobody's here, nobody sees, okay, now I can do something, some nonsense, you know. And we do something, we know we shouldn't do it, but because nobody sees us, we anyway do it, right? But if, you know, someone else would be there, we would be careful. No, I can't behave like that, I have to be. You know, it's small things, even like, if you come together and meditate, we chant Hare Krishna in a group, everyone is very focused, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. If we're alone, we take our handy and flip through the WhatsApp or Facebook and Hare Rama, Hare. We will never do it if someone sees us, but if you're alone, we may do it, right? So, but if we are aware that, and so that's why this meditation is important. How would my life change if I would always remember that actually I'm being watched by Guru and Krishna? You know, Krishna is always seeing me. Most probably I would be a little different person, or I would, you know, conduct my life differently. So that's a lesson we can take, and certainly that's what Paramatma is doing. He's there as an observer. Okay, that's one function, he's observing. But also he gives knowledge. Krishna says that he is seated in everyone's heart, and Krishna says, from me comes remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. And so it's interesting because we forget things, but Krishna does not forget. We may have some certain desire, and we want to do something, and then we maybe forget about it, but Krishna is not forgotten. And he knows you have these desires, okay, so he will remind us. You wanted to do this, you want to do that. So Krishna is reminding us, and he guides us from within according to our desires and our past activities. So that's why he gives knowledge, he gives a remembrance. And sometimes he also gives forgetfulness. Sometimes you think, oh my God, how could I forget this? You know, something happened, and Krishna, why did you not remind me? But maybe there is a reason. You know, sometimes Krishna is covering us, we forget. And of course, Paramatma is also that inner voice, Prabhupada pointed it out, that inner voice that always wants to guide us from within, right? And sometimes science, they say, and Prabhupada would say, like I would say, for example, the animals, how do the birds know where to fly? No, the birds, they sometimes travel thousands of kilometers or miles, they travel. They know exactly where to go. How do they know? Do they have a GPS or somewhere? Or it's an inbuilt GPS. And they will say, well, this is intuition or instinct. The animals, they act according to instinct. It's an instinct. And Prabhupada said, this is nonsense. They just can't explain something, and they create a word, and they say instinct. But actually, it's a super soul. It's God who is in their hearts, and God from within guides the living entities, because they have desires, and Krishna, they want to have food, they want to have shelter, and from within, the Lord who is with them through many different species of life, Krishna from within helps and guides. Prabhupada says, knowledge given by Paramatma from within the core of the heart is explained by the modern scientists as intuition. They do not know where from the intuition is coming, and that is coming from God. Therefore it is stated, Mata, from me, smritir jnanam apohanam cha. And Prabhupada gives an example. A small cub, a small dog, like a baby dog, it has not opened the eyes, but still, immediately after birth, it seeks the nipples of the mother. No? Like still like this. But immediately, where is milk? Where is milk? You know, like so where from the knowledge comes? You know, why does the baby dog knows there is milk and I need milk? It comes from within. And that is from God, Krishna, Prabhupada says. No? So that's also described in Gita. Ishvara sarvabhutanam hridesh arjuna tishtati brahmanyan sarvabhutani yantra rudhani mayaya. That's also a very fascinating concept. That yantra rudhani, yantra means a machine. This body is compared to a machine, and we are sitting on that machine. And we are not the one who is moving the machine. It's actually the material nature. It's God God through the material nature that moves the machine. And we only have desire. According to our desire, then the machine is moved. And that's also very fascinating and hard to kind of, like if I move my arm, I would say that I'm doing that, right? I'm moving my arm. But actually it's not true. I just have a desire to move my arm and the material energy, and by the sanction of the Lord, I'm able to do it. And sometimes we are sick, or we can't do things because sanction is not given. So we are completely dependent on the Lord and higher nature. So, but there also, Ishvara Sarabhutanam, Hridhesha Arjuna, again, it's described that the Lord is resided in the heart, and from the heart he guides the living entity according to our desires. And then he is also the permisser, he gives permission. And because according to our karma, if we deserve to do something, then he gives us permission, okay, you can do it, or maybe not, if we don't deserve to get it. And another thing is also when we take another body, how is it, who gives or who decides what kind of body we get in our next life? Can we just choose it on our own? Well, it's a combination of our activity and desire, and it's described in Bhagavatam, karmana daiva netrena. Daiva netrena means by higher authority. It's by the higher authority that we get a certain body. So that higher authority, that daiva netrena, that's the super soul who is in the heart and observes everything and gives permission and guides all the living entities. So that's and according to karma, we get what we deserve. And there's a story. Since it's Sunday program, we should have some stories, right? Otherwise, there's too much philosophy. There was a king. He had 3 ministers. And he told the ministers, I have a task for you today. You go to the forest and you collect some fruits. You take one bag. He gave them everyone a bag. You fill the bag with nice fruits. So they did. They went. And the first minister thought, since the king has ordered for collecting the fruits, he must collect the best fruits in the bag. So he just collected the very best fruits he could find, some apples, some pears, and other good fruits, put all them in a bag and came back. The second minister, he thought, the king is a very busy person. He may not look very clearly into the bag what is there. So I just take any fruit, what I find. So he took fruits, nice fruit, ripened, but also some spoiled fruit, like bad fruits. He took everything. He just put everything into it. And the third minister was even more lazy. He thought, this king, he will never look into the bag. It's good enough if I just come with a filled bag. So he took, just leaves and sand and whatever was there, put it in a bag, and came with a full bag back. So all the 3 ministers came back with full bags, but one with nice fruits, one with nice fruits and bad fruits, and one with just sand and leaves. So what did the king do? Without even looking into the bags, he just told them, okay, now you all will be put into prison, into jail for 3 months, and you will not be served any food. The only thing you can take with you is your bag. So one minister, the first minister, he went and he brought his whole bag with nice fruits, so he survived nicely because he had all good fruits. So after 3 months he happily came out and survived. The second minister, he also survived, but he became badly sick because towards the end he only had this rotten and spoiled fruit, so he had to eat these ones, and this really gave him a very bad digestion. And the third minister, unfortunately, died in the jail because he only had sand and leaves in his bag and couldn't survive much more for a couple of days. So what's the moral of the story? We have to undergo the consequences of our own activities. And that's the law of karma. Whatever we do, there will be a reaction. No? Or whatever happens to us is not just whimsically, but because we have done something in the past. In the Mahabharata it says, amongst thousands of cows, the calf finds his own mother. The calf knows. Even there may be many cows, but the calf knows which is my mother. Similarly, the results of our past karma deeds, when fully ripened, will find us without fail. Just like the calf knows who is the mother, so the reactions to our activities, they will find us. We can't hide. They will come back. They will find us. So, and sometimes people think, well, this karma, law of karma. Well, but this is a divine law that is acting, and it's not just whimsically, but there is Paramatma in the heart who is the supreme controller, and he has a complete overview. Because for us, for a condition, it's very difficult to understand the karma, how it all works, and all the different activities. But one person has the complete overview, and that's Paramatma. Because he is there, right in every single heart, and he knows exactly which living entity has done what, and that's why who deserves what. Therefore, the Upanishad gives the example of two birds. There's two birds on a tree, right, on a branch of a tree, and one bird is eating, and the other bird is just observing. And the living entity is compared to the bird that eats, and the Lord is the observer who just observes. But the most important part now, for us, when we speak of bhakti, what we practice here is the bhakti yoga. The most important is that we have a relationship, and Krishna and Prabhupada explains in the purport that we all have an eternal relationship with the Lord, and the Lord actually is very eager to bring us back to Him, because we have turned our face away from Him, but He is very eager to bring us back, because we are meant to have that relationship with Krishna, and from within He tries to help us. And Prabhupada very beautifully puts this relationship between the living entity and the Lord. He says that if someone re-establishes his relationship, then that person is called a devotee, a sadhu, or someone who is again a devotee. And he gives the example. He says, when a diamond is set in a golden ring, it looks very nice. Right? You have a golden ring, and in the golden ring you have a nice diamond. Right? The gold is glorified, and at the same time the diamond is glorified. The Lord and the living entity eternally glitter, and when the living entity becomes inclined to the service of the Supreme Lord, he looks like gold. The Lord is a diamond, and so this combination is very nice. Nice picture, no? Yeah. So the Lord, Krishna, God, is a diamond, and when the devotee becomes a servant, he kind of serves the diamond, and then the devotee becomes very beautiful also. He becomes like gold. Living entities in pure state are called devotees. The Supreme Lord becomes the devotee of his devotees. If a reciprocal relationship is not present between the devotee and the Lord, there is no personalist philosophy. So it's about relationship between God and the living entity. Krishna is very eager in a relationship. He wants to be in exchange with us. And that's why he wants to help us. So Krishna is there in our heart, and he's just waiting till we again turn towards him. Because we have turned away from him, and he's just there. And that's also amazing. That's why Krishna is the best friend. There's many kind of friends. There is different words for friend. Maybe Prabhupada there is bandhu, right? What other words? Mitra, surit, yeah. And bandhu, what is the difference between this, bandhu and mitra? They're both kind of friends.
Bandhu is more closer.
Yeah. Mitra is more like colleagues, and bandhu is more close. But surit is even more. Surit is very close friend. And Krishna says that he is the surit, or the friend of all living entities. And we can see it from, like in this world we have a relationship. And if we have a friendship with someone, and somehow this friend is never answering our calls, he's not he's not replying our emails or WhatsApp messages, at some point we become a little bit, why he's not answering, why he's not... And if the person completely ignores us, at some point maybe even delete our friendship on Facebook, and we kind of, he's completely ignoring me, and then we also ignore him, and then the relationship is over, because there is a requirement of exchange. But here we have a friend. We have ignored that person for millions of lifetimes, and he's still there, waiting for us. And if we just turn our faces, immediately embracing us, and immediately he's waiting for us. That's a real friend. You know, he's very eager that we come back to him. So, and it says that he's in our heart, and he will be ready to help us. Prabhupada, this is also one of my famous Prabhupada's purport, which I have read before. He says here, when he sees that the devotee is completely sincere in getting admittance to the transcendental service, then the Lord acts from within to help such a devotee. He can very easily go back to Godhead. And then Prabhupada says, the Lord is more anxious to take us back into his kingdom than we can desire. Most of us do not desire at all to go back to Godhead. We don't even want so much to go to bed, because we still have so many hopes in this world. We try to be happy in this world. But Krishna is calling us to go back to him. And he's very eager. And that's why Krishna is also, or Paramatma is also known as Avigyata Sakha. Avigyata Sakha. Sakha is also another name for friend. And Avigyata means the unknown friend. Paramatma is also known as the unknown friend, because we don't know him. It's a friend we have, but we forgot him. And he wants to help us. So how does Paramatma help? We said he helps from within and from without. He helps from within. He gives inspiration, intuition. He wants to, he told all of you, go to the Krishna temple today. Maybe you thought, maybe let's do something else. No, let's go for a walk or go to the lake. But something told you, no, let's go to the Krishna temple. That was Paramatma guiding you to come. But then also Paramatma appears from outside. And he comes, and how does he appear outside? He comes in the form of a sadhu. Jive shakshat naitate guru chaitya rupa shiksha guru hoya Krishna mahanta swarupa shiksha guru tai jnani krishnera swarupa antaryami bhakta shreshta edui rupa. So it's described because it's not so easy. Jive shakshat nai. It's not so easy to see the super soul, right? Have you ever seen Paramatma? Not so easy, no? You see the picture of Hanuman. He kind of rips apart, or how we say, opens his chest, and inside you see Sita Ram, right? There's this famous picture. But are we able to do so? Just, can we see Radha Krishna in the heart, or Paramatma in the heart? Not so easy. So we can't see Paramatma. But then, but we cannot see him, and it's not so easy to experience, then the Paramatma, he appears himself outside in the form of a guru, Shiksha Guru, Sadhu, Diksha Guru. So one should know the instructing spiritual master to be the personality of Godhead. Krishna manifests himself as the super soul and as the greatest devotee of the Lord. So in other words, the idea is that when we meet a sadhu, a guru, a spiritual master, and of course it's not an ordinary person, not just anyone, but someone who is actually God conscious, self-realized, someone who is actually a representative of the Lord, he is considered to be non-different from Paramatma. And why is that? It's kind of maybe a little strange. Why do we consider such a person to be like God? Because that person has become completely pure. There is no ego, there is nothing which is blocking him. That's why God from within can speak directly through that person. And that's why the guru becomes a transparent media for the Lord to speak. And that personality becomes, is not different from God within, comes from out as a spiritual master. That's the idea. And and many who have met such great personalities, they have made these experiences, right? You come in front of your spiritual master, you have a burning question, and before you even open your mouth, the guru tells you, don't do like this, you should do like that. And we're like, wait a minute, how do you know? So this experience many have made, and there is one story from Prabhupada memory. There is one Prabhupada disciple, his name is Mahabudhi. and it's a famous story, but it's really funny. He kind of he heard about the devotees, and he wanted to see. He went to the temple in Los Angeles, and he met Prabhupada's secretary. Oh, you want to see Prabhupada? You can go up. And Mahabodhi thought, okay, I will test. I will test this guru, this sadhu. If he is really a true sadhu, a true spiritual master, then he should know what is the absolute truth, the process how to know the truth. He should be able to read my mind, and he should know what is the future. No? If he a true guru, he should be able to read my mind. He should know the future. He should know what is God and how to go there. And so let's test whether this Prabhupada knows these kind of things. So he went up in this mood, and he came, and the room was packed. There were many devotees, and he was sitting somewhere in the back. And then when Prabhupada, he was singing some song, then he finished the song, and when Prabhupada spotted this man in the back, he looked at him. Hey, why are you so a kripana? Why are you a miser? And he was like, my God, like, we have never met before, and he accuses me to be a miser? What is this? a miser and Geizhals. And then Prabhupada started to explain, a miser is the opposite of a like a kripana is the opposite of a brahmana. Like a brahmana who knows, and brahmana knows what is the goal of life, and a kripana is the opposite, someone who, although he has a human form of life, but he is not actually investing his life into God consciousness. So why are you like that, And then basically he says, if you have abilities but you don't using the abilities for Krishna's service, then you're a miser. And then Prabhupada started to speak about what is the absolute truth, which is Krishna is the absolute truth. Krishna, God, is is all pervading, and the process to attain Krishna is bhakti, devotional service. So Prabhupada just started to talk to him about this. He said, "Oh my God, like I wanted to know the truth and the process," and he just the first thing he tells me. So that's interesting. But he said, still he didn't read my mind or knew the future. And no, he said, if let's see, he didn't spoke the future yet, and then immediately Prabhupada said, "Bring me the 12th canto," and then Prabhupada would read from the description of Kali Yuga, what happened in the future. No. People will think they are very beautiful by having long hairs, like the men. So Prabhupada explained many other predictions for the age, and I felt defeated, Mahabodhi says, even though I had even opened my mouth. So in this way we see there is many devotees had this kind of experiences. When they come in front of a spiritual teacher, it's like the spiritual teacher has a wie sagt man, Röntgenblick, like X-ray you say? X-ray, they can immediately see through you. They scan it, just look at you, and people feel like, oh my God, he can see my heart. That's kind of the experience many have when they meet a self-realized person. So in this way, Paramatma, the Lord in the heart, he is very compassionate, very kind, because the Lord appears or the manifests through such self-realized persons. That's one way how he comes. And it's important because Prabhupada also describes in Bhagavatam, there is a beautiful shloka which describes that the Lord, as super soul, pervades all things, just as fire permeates wood, and so he appears to be of many varieties, though he is the absolute one without a second. That's from the Bhagavatam. And then Prabhupada explains in the purport that as from wood fire can be manifested, and as from butter, through the process of churning, like from milk, butter can be manifested. So the presence of the Paramatma can be felt by the process of hearing and chanting. So do you want to feel the presence of Paramatma? Do you want to feel the presence of God? And Prabhupada says the process is hearing and chanting. And then Prabhupada goes on, he says, As fire is kindled from the wood by another fire, the divine consciousness of man can be similarly be kindled by another divine grace. His divine grace, the spiritual master, can kindle the spiritual fire from the wood-like living entity by imparting proper spiritual messages injected through the receptive ear. Therefore, one is required to approach the proper spiritual master with receptive ears only, and thus divine existence gradually can be realized. So the process of Shravanam Kirtanam is very powerful. It says basically there is bhakti, there is devotion in the heart of a self-realized soul, and if that person speaks through the Shabda Brahman, through the sound vibration of his words, that bhakti goes out from his mouth, enters in our ears, and from the ears it enters in our heart, and there our own fire of bhakti is also awakened. That's the process, how bhakti actually is transmitted. It says that it's the sadhu sangha, that the association with devotees is the birthplace of bhakti. There bhakti is manifested because it comes from another devotee. Therefore, it is so important that we hear and listen, associate with devotees, especially with those who have deep realization and are very advanced. So this is a way how Paramatma can manifest in our lives. And I have some more, unfortunately our time is almost up, some more practical maybe, some thoughts on this concept of that Krishna is actually there in our heart. So what can we do with that now? We know that God is in the heart, but how can we connect more with Krishna? And of course one thing is that we can understand that this body is Hari Mandir. No? That's one principle or one consequence of this. That's why do we put tilak? Because we understand this Krishna is not only Uppervalla. In India you say Uppervalla, right? Valla means Jai Valla or any Valla. Valla. How do you translate Valla in English? What would you?
Just a person.
A person, Valla. Jai Valla. So you say Uppervalla. Upper means above, in this, So God, another name for God is Uppervalla, the person who is up there. So, God is Uppervalla, he's up there. But as we said, God is also in the heart. He's in our own heart. And therefore, this body is very special because God resides in this body. That's why this body becomes a temple. Therefore, the body is Hari Mandir. And so the body is not my griha, it's not my house for my own enjoyment, but actually it's mandir, it's a temple. And because Krishna resides in my heart, and therefore I put tilak as a sign of being his servant. I decorate the temple, and I know I'm a servant of the Lord who resides in my heart. So if you go to a temple, what is the general mood of a temple? If you go to the temple, what is your mood? Usually devotional, right? You bring some flowers, you offer some service. You know if you go to the temple, the idea is to give something, to establish your relationship with Krishna, to deepen your relationship. That's what you do. So in a prayerful mood. And if you live in a temple, some of you may, sometimes some devotees, they come and stay for some time in a temple, or some live here. If you live in a temple, you have to perform service, right? If you don't perform service, then at some point the temple commander, temple president, they will, no, you can't stay here. You have to do something. That's. So similarly, this human form of life, if this body is a temple, a mandir, this human form of life is meant to render service to the Lord. And if we don't render service to the Lord, maybe in next life we maybe don't get a Hari Mandir, we don't get a human body. We get a body of an animal or a lower species, where we are not able to perform service. So there is a certain responsibility having such a body. And then usually a temple is made of bricks, cement, wood, steel, and of course this body is made of bones and flesh and so on. But if we actually develop devotion and bhakti, when Bhakti Devi enters our heart, then it's Bhakti Mandir. And then this Mandir is actually built by Ladini Shakti, because Bhakti appears only by the mercy of Srimati Radharani. So by the mercy of Srimati Radharani, this body becomes like a temple in which we render Bhakti or devotion. And then this temple is manifested by Ladini Shakti. And then then actually we truly serve Krishna in that way. And of course, in order to, how can we obtain Radharani's mercy so that Bhakti Devi appears in our heart? So because Radharani, she's a queen, it's not so easy, you can't just so easy approach Radharani. So we need help. From whom? We need help from a Radha Priya Sakhi, from someone who is very close, very dear to Radharani. And that's again a spiritual master. It's a spiritual master who is in his original position very close to Srimati Radharani. And the spiritual master can help us to come close, to awaken that bhakti. And then we really live in a Hari Mandir. So that's beautiful meditation, I think originally given by Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj. And this is one thing we can remember, that, yeah, the fact that Krishna is in our heart means that this body is something special and we want to engage it in Krishna's seva. Another lesson we can take is, if Krishna is my heart, that means Krishna is also in your heart, in your heart, in your heart. And if Krishna is in your heart, what does it mean in regard to my relationship to you? Maybe I should be a little bit nice, no? Because after all, Krishna is there. You fool! No, sometimes we are very mean and aggressive and very unkind to people. But you know, wait a minute, Krishna is residing there. Krishna is just sitting next to it. So why, maybe we should be a little bit more respectful to each other. So that can be another practical application. And that's what Prabhupada says in the Prabhupada's 7 goals or aims of purposes of ISKCON. He says that the ISKCON is meant to spread Krishna consciousness and to teach spiritual techniques. Prabhupada uses the word spiritual technique. That's a spiritual technique. You change your vision. You understand there is Paramatma in the heart of this living entity. That's why I should be respectful. That's a spiritual technique which changes the way we see and do things. And of course, in regards to ourselves, if I know that Krishna is in my heart, then Krishna is very approachable. It's not that, oh, Krishna or God, you're somewhere far away. No, you're very close. Nobody's closer as God. And then, hopefully, we can establish a more closer relationship, or more like a practice of prayers. That would be the last point that I make. So I said practical application, the way we see our bodies, the way we see others. And then another aspect is our relationship to Krishna in regards to prayers. Because if I know that Krishna hears my prayers, because it's just right to my heart, then it's nice to cultivate a prayer practice. I don't know how often you pray. How often do you, and you don't have to answer, you can answer yourself, but how often do you really, call out for Krishna? Krishna, please help me. How often do we really, enter into this relationship? Often we are so busy, our lives is busy, and we do our Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, we do our meditation, this and that. But how often do we really, from the heart, connect with Krishna? But he's so close, why not connect more? There's a beautiful little booklet, Crying for Krishna. This is from a Mataji. She wrote from Radhadesh. She collected prayers from the scriptures, and I'll just read a few, and this will end. It gives you a little bit an idea of, a prayerful mood you can develop in your relationship with Krishna. And the Paribhas Sutra of this is, teach me how to cry for Krishna. I'm trapped to my waist in a quicksand of my lusty desires. Oh Krishna, but for you, there is no one who can save me. Oh Krishna, Maya's influence has made me spiritually blind. Now that I'm cut off from you, lost in a land where everybody cries forever, what am I to do? Please restore my sight so I can again once see you. Oh Krishna, the lake of my heart is so muddy and contaminated. Please cleanse it with a monsoon cloud of your mercy. Make me qualified for your service. Please pour the life-giving nectar of your holy name into my desert-like heart through the holes of my ears. And, oh powerful Krishna, please, give me the strength I need to control my mind and protect my vows. O Krishna, blinded by lust, I have not called out to you for protection, and I have been wounded by Kandarpa, the god of love, many times. O my Lord, please pierce my heart with the arrows of your love. Yeah. So in this way, many beautifuls, as I really can recommend. It's a nice way to, now before you chant your japa, read a couple of prayers, get into the mood, and then the quality of the japa has completely different way to connect with Krishna after reflecting on these thoughts or prayers. All right, it's time. We're in Switzerland, right? So I spoke about the Paramatma, the concept of Paramatma, that God is there in the heart of every living entity. He has a certain function that he oversees, observes us, he gives permission. But also he's a friend who is actually wanting a relationship with us. And I spoke a little bit that towards the end how we can apply this knowledge that God is there in the heart in different ways. The way we see our body, the way we see others, and then also by how we maybe connect more through the practice of prayers with the Lord. Thank you very much. So I will end here, and of course I think prasadam will be served outside. I will, if there is, and yeah, please feel free to go, but if there is one or two questions, we maybe can take, if someone has a question. But don't feel shy to get up if you're hungry. Yes?
I was thinking, you say that the humans have the opportunity to serve. I was thinking the animals also can serve. The insect, when they pollinize the flower, is not serving God?
Okay, do the animals do not also have an opportunity to serve the Lord? Of course, it's a beautiful way to look at it in the sense that all the living entities, they are like part of the cosmic existence and everyone is doing their part. That's true. But maybe because rendering service is one thing, but then service is meant to be rendered with devotion and love, with a conscious desire. Krishna, please, this is for you, and I want to be again connected with you. So that conscious decision or conscious turning towards the divine is difficult for an animal because the consciousness is covered. No, it cannot have such a clear understanding. It's just covered. And when the soul enters in a human body, then that consciousness is again opened. No. We don't discriminate. That's why we are vegetarian, right? We don't harm other animals or other living entities, because we understand that the soul is similar. Quality of soul is in different bodies, but the consciousness is covered, and in a human form, consciousness is open. And therefore, we are fortunate. You all did something very good. We spoke about karma. In your previous life, you did all very well, because you got a human form. And this is a very good opportunity. Yeah.
But actually, in Kali Yuga, the consciousness is covered.
Also, yes. That's why Krishna is sending devotees like Srila Prabhupada into this world to help us to uplift our consciousness again by giving us spiritual teachings, spiritual books, and especially the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By chanting this mantra, of course, we also hope to raise our consciousness and become more aware of Krishna. Yeah. All right, I think we'll then end here. Thank you very much. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Bol.
His grace, Krishna Premarupa Prabhu ki jai. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for speaking about Paramatma, our unseen, unknown friend. I think it's a good time to check out this friend and maybe observe him in your life. So I just wanted to inform also, Prabhu is giving also many seminars, and you can find outside. Now one is going on CC Compact. It's a little bit advanced, but if you want to check out, you can check it out. And also Bhakti Shastri course is Prabhu is giving, also a deep study of the Bhagavad Gita, of the book that we read today. So yeah, please look for it also. I just want to inform you, we have next week, on Saturday, we have a special program. It's a festival called Govardhan Puja. It's a festival where we can see how Krishna is protecting his devotees, those who surrender unto him. So we will start here at 4:30 and we'll go on. We will have a big mountain of sweets. So this is a good occasion to visit the temple and take something for the stomach. Now also, it's time. You can go outside and there will be a feast served. Hare Krishna.